I never believed my life could come apart so thoroughly because of a handful of careless choices. My name is Laura. I'm 32 years old, and for a long time I was convinced I had everything under control. I was married to David, a man who was calm, dependable, and utterly devoted to me. We'd been together nearly 10 years, married for 6, and I truly thought that no matter what happened, our connection was unshakable. I was wrong, deeply, painfully wrong. It began with the pull of something new. There was a man named Alex. Charismatic, magnetic, the kind of person who could make you forget the life you'd built with someone else, if only briefly. At first, it wasn't supposed to matter. Just attention, compliments, the rush of feeling desired. I never imagined it could lead to ruin, yet it did, and so quietly that I barely noticed the warning signs. David remained patient, as he always had been. Even when I started spending more evenings at work events and social gatherings with Alex, he didn't question me. He trusted me, he loved me, and I treated that love as something guaranteed. I convinced myself that if I could keep both worlds, the security of home and the excitement of something new, why shouldn't I? One evening, everything came to a breaking point. I was at a corporate function, a charity gala, with Alex soaking in the attention. David had stayed home, worn out from a long work week, unaware of what I was really chasing. I laughed freely, flirted openly, let myself be seen in ways I hadn't allowed in years. For a moment, I felt alive again, like a version of myself I thought I'd lost. What I didn't realize was that while I chased fleeting excitement, David's patience was quietly running out. When I came home that night, I knew immediately something had shifted. He didn't speak at first. He sat in the living room, staring at the floor, hands tightly clasped. There was no shouting, no dramatic explosion, just a silence so heavy it tightened my chest. I tried to brush it off with humor, joking about being out late for work, laughing about the gala. He didn't smile. He didn't respond. That silence was worse than any argument we'd ever had. "Laura," he finally said, his voice calm but distant. "We need to talk." I laughed nervously, trying to ease the tension. "David, come on. It's nothing. Just work stuff. Colleagues." He slowly shook his head, his eyes locking onto mine with a clarity I'd never seen before. "It's never nothing. I've been patient, Laura, but patience has limits. You chose to look for happiness somewhere else. Now you need to face what that leaves behind." My stomach dropped. I didn't understand, or maybe I didn't want to. I tried to argue, to insist I hadn't really done anything wrong, that it was harmless, meaningless. He didn't listen. Every word I spoke bounced off a resolve I hadn't known he possessed. "You think I don't notice?" he said. "The way you've drifted, the way your attention has shifted, the way you sneak these moments into your life as if they're insignificant? I've been watching, Laura, and I'm done." The words hit harder than I expected. It wasn't just anger I felt, it was fear. Fear of losing the man who had always grounded me. Fear of confronting the consequences of my own recklessness. And yet, somewhere deep inside, there was still a part of me that didn't care. I wanted to run to Alex, to feel that thrill one more time. I thought I could have everything, not realizing that life doesn't reward deception. The days that followed blurred together. David left each morning without speaking. His presence, once comforting, became cold and distant. My texts went unanswered, my calls ignored. I sought advice from friends, but nothing they said eased the growing dread in my chest. With every passing hour, the reality of my choices closed in tighter. One night, I went to see Alex, believing his warmth and excitement might fill the emptiness I'd created. Instead, something I didn't expect happened. He wasn't waiting with open arms or charming reassurances. He looked at me with the same disappointment I had begun to recognize in David. "Laura, you've already made your choice," he said calmly, finality in his voice. "I won't be the other half of someone who doesn't value what she has. This ends here." The blow was sudden and brutal. I had convinced myself I could control the story, manage emotions, avoid being the one left empty-handed. Instead, I stood alone, abandoned by the excitement I'd chased, finally realizing the thrill was never real. The life I'd built had been worth far more than fleeting attention. When I returned home, a letter lay slipped under the door. My hands shook as I picked it up, recognizing David's handwriting instantly. The message was short but devastating. He wasn't angry. He wasn't dramatic. He was finished. He wrote that he needed space, that he deserved respect and loyalty, and that he would no longer allow himself to be made a fool. No pleading, no threats, just the cold, unwavering truth. As I read, the weight of reality pressed down on me. I had traded stability, love, and genuine care for something hollow and temporary. All that remained was regret. The nights that followed were sleepless, filled with memories of laughter, quiet mornings, and a love I had taken for granted. I realized I hadn't only lost my husband, I'd burned bridges with friends who once trusted and supported me. I reached out, begged, tried to explain, but every message went unanswered, every call to voicemail. David's absence became more punishing than any anger could have been. I was a stranger in my own life, a living warning of what happens when desire outweighs gratitude. Sitting alone, I finally understood the lesson I'd ignored for so long. Happiness isn't something to steal or chase at someone else's expense. Love isn't built on attention or thrills. It's quiet, steady, and demands respect and integrity. And all I was left with were echoes of choices made, chances lost, and a life I could no longer reclaim.